Yeah, so a 45-minute practice, we will begin lying down on your back. Let's meet there. Okay, and support if you need support, like support, want support for your head. And you can have your feet standing up on the floor, maybe give yourself a little bit of space behind the knees, or you can just have your legs out long, heavy, feel the legs heavy. Feel the legs as they do in Shavasana rotate a little bit outward and fall into the backs of your hip joints and get a sense of just this whole spaciousness in the lower abdomen, pelvis in the lower abdomen. And if you have your feet standing on the floor, right, feel just the neutral position of your pelvis and your sacrum, your lower back. And get a sense of the soles of your feet here. But either way, right, your choice. Take 10 breaths. With no intention to hurry. Feel each breath in its entirety from the beginning of inhale to the bottom of exhale. Let this be just those couple of minutes where you really allow yourself to arrive fully. Everything about your day so far is past. Get another breath or so here. And then if your legs are extended, go ahead and bring your feet to the floor. Go ahead and stand your feet flat on the floor. And then every time you breathe out, you're bringing your pelvis a little bit toward you, tilt the pelvis toward you and lengthen the lumbar spine. The abdomen contract and the navel move toward the floor, toward your spine. And on the inhale, let all of that movement reverse. On the exhale, long lower back, long lumbar spine, side waist in, navel to spine, inhale, reverse. Exhale, lengthen. Take 3 more breaths like that. Long and full and slow. So you're sensing how the pelvis moves like cat and cow here. Just different orientation to gravity, the reverse orientation to gravity. And then you're neutral, just take a breath. And then take just maybe 4 or 5 breaths, where on an inhalation, try to slide your shoulder blades toward one another. Do that little upper back kind of squeeze in and feel your chest kind of puff up and lift a bit away from the ground. And then on the exhale, let it go. Take just 2 or 3 more breaths like that. Slide shoulder blades toward your spine. Contract there in that space between your shoulder blades, and then exhale, release. That twice more. Exhale, release. And then feet a little closer to the backs of your hips if they are not already. And then come into bridge pose. You're going to come up on an exhalation. Go ahead and just start by bringing your shoulder blades down and then in a little bit. Feel that, again, that same action of the contraction of the space between the shoulder blades, and then exhale, lift the hips. Tuck the arms. Again, if the arms will tuck a little bit more, and then just hold that squeeze between the shoulder blades as you're holding a little squeeze in the backs of your hips and a little squeeze up and down the length of your spine. From shoulder blades to tailbone. Hold yourself up. Take 2 more breaths. Exhale, inhale, release the arms, bring the spine to the floor, hips to the floor. Okay, and then let's work just a little more in the abdomen while we're here on your back. You're going to take your legs, feet up off the floor, and let the hips kind of roll toward you a little bit so you can feel again the length of your lumbar spine. Your knees in sort of chair leg shape, and your arms reaching for the ceiling, fingers reaching for the ceiling. And then on exhalation, you go opposite arm and leg into extension without losing the extension of your lower back. Okay, so just we take a few to get the feeling of the coordination. Exhale, inhale to come out. Play with the angle of the extended leg. If taking it too close to the floor causes you to lose the support of the lower back, the support of the core that's keeping the lumbar spine flat to the floor, don't go so far to the floor. Just angle maybe a little more slightly upward. Three more each set. And then like your arms come overhead to the floor, hook your thumbs together and extend your legs long. Let all of that go. The fibers, your muscle fibers of your lower abdomen, open up and breathe. Oh, good. And then bring your feet back up to stand and set your feet wide apart, so about as wide as the mat. A little bit away from the hips, and then just drop your knees from side to side. It's at your own pace. If you want to add that little push of the back foot, you can. A little deeper turn, a stronger turn of your hips. And just go side to side. Here, nice and loose. A few times, side to side. One more each side, one more each direction. Nice, okay. And then come over onto one side. You want to pause there, take a breath on the side, you can. You want to just move yourself slowly. Mitigate any coming up too quickly. And then let's come on to your hands and knees, come on to all fours. Find cow pose and cat pose again. On all fours, right? The reverse relationship with gravity here. Two more rounds of your breath. You pull your chest forward and you try to access a little bit of that support of the upper back. Feel for the shoulder blades, see where you can squeeze in there a bit, and then you broaden as you breathe out. From neutral spine, then pick up your left arm, move it in a big circle 3 or 4 times, back stroking through the shoulder, and then reverse. Oh, kitty pups. And then switch arms. Just 3 or 4 times in each direction. See what there is to see there. And then from all fours, you could just sit back on your heels. If you want to press back into child's pose and extend the spine and open the hips, a little hip opener that way. Open the low back. You could sit back on your feet with your toes curled under, or not. Take another breath or 2. I guess I should let him in. He's not used to having the door full. Oh. Okay, and then from high push-up position, take 5 breaths. Just come up, modify however you want to modify. If you want to be down on your knees, you can. If you want to be on your forearms, you can. If you want to be at the wall, you can be at the wall or on a chair, but take 5 breaths. kitty. Okay. And then drop your knees, come out of your hands, come out of your arms, drop your knees, sit back on your feet, or fold yourself back into child's pose again. Take a breath. Right, come out of tension, come out of just the feeling of this, the strain or the struggle of holding the pose again. Then let's come back to it, okay? And then do modify it any way you want to modify it. If you were in the full hands and feet, drop your knees. Or you could be in the full with your knees up, but be down on your forearms. Okay, take 4 or 5 more breaths. Modify your high plank pose. Modify your plank pose to another variation. Squeeze where you can. Find the shoulders, find the shoulders, find the legs. And then let your knees fall, walk back. If your knees were up, let your knees fall, walk back. Again, take a breath, sit back and take a breath. So you can take a big, full, relaxed breath in and out through the nose. Just kind of reset your mental, physiological baseline. So let's come back in and do one more and hold for 4 or 5 breaths, another breath or 2 if you like, but just to give yourself a sense of this sort of optimal window of effort, so that you might notice where you're creating more effort than you need to. If I'm on my elbows with my fingers interlaced and my palms together, sometimes I'll notice I'm really squeezing my fingers and hands together super tight. Don't need to do that, really. Just creates more tension. Find the optimal level of tension for you to hold yourself in the pose, and whatever variation you want to do, whatever modification of the plank pose you want to do. Okay. Good. And then your knees can come down if they're up. Take them off of your hands, come out of your elbows again, and then just rest. Take a breath, child's pose, or sit back on your feet in any comfortable place for that. And do with you, Mr. Kitty Pots. Okay, and so we're gonna practice accessing some of the strength of your legs to come in and out of downward facing dog. Okay, so this is a little more just more functional movement, pushing up off the floor. Pushing your body weight up off the floor is a job for your legs functionally. Okay, so let's see if we can access a little bit more of the legs to get away from the floor. Okay, so just to feel the difference. Oh, somewhere, but I just need you to be a little bit out of the way, Mr. Boo. So to feel the difference, right, you come to your hands and knees, you curl your toes under, you push your palms, and your shoulders bring you into the pose, right? That sort of path of least resistance, right? Shoulders, then knees, and then the shoulders help push us back. And that maybe at this point just feels really, really, really easy. Exhale. Okay, and then the next time you come down, see if you can keep all the extension that plays from your hands to your hips, and just bend your knees and try to bring your hips to your heels to come down. Okay, so come up the way you've been coming up. And then drop the knees, but keep the arms long, keep the shoulders engaged, drop the knees. Set the knees to the floor. Good. And then just kind of sit back. Weight of hips on your feet, your arms out in front of you, your palms out in front of you. And look forward, just release any tension in your neck. And then you're going to try to come up this way. You're going to try to come up by lifting your knees, but keeping your arms extended. Knees go back. Try to use more leg and less shoulder. And then come down, just drop the knees again, but keep everything long. You're really going to feel quadriceps until your knees fall and they get to the floor. And if you need to come up, just come up and sit and take a breath, do that. Try this 3 more times. Let's do 3 more. If you need to, I find that I feel more stable with my hands a little closer than a little further away. All right, Mr. Boone. Feel what feels right for your knees. So you can get your knees off the floor, but then knees up and the quadriceps really grab onto your thigh bones to take your legs up and back. Kitty. See, I came forward into my shoulders to come down. See if you can come down the reverse of the way that you come up. So you're using more legs than shoulders. Couple more. Each one gets a little harder. And one more. You need a little momentum. Give yourself a little momentum. Sometimes it turns into one knee and then the other knee, and then both legs go back. Good. And then just be here. You want to go out wide with your feet, adjust your stance at all. Take 3 or 4 more breaths here. We look forward if there's tension in your neck. Let your head look forward and then look back. A little bit of bend in your knees, so you get a little more open in your chest. Good, and then let's step the feet forward until heels are a little more under your hips, and then from the fold, bring your hands to your hips, soften your knees, flex, find that flexion between your shoulder blades again. Squeeze between the shoulder blades, broad chest, use that upper back. Bring yourself up to stand. Take a breath. Okay. And then 3 standing balances, 5 breaths each. And we're going to start with what I guess sometimes is referred to as kind of a prep for eagle pose, which is this. Instead of wrapping your leg, you're just going to bring ankle to knee like pigeon pose. Like that. The knee is bent, the standing knee is a little bit bent, right? So this can rest, the ankle can kind of rest on the thigh. And then you're just slowly going to sit back. Have support next to you if you want more stability. And then you get to where you could just bring fingertips to the floor so it looks more like a fold and drop your head. Take 5 breaths. Use your last breath to come up. Use your last breath to let your fingers go from the floor. Hold on to whatever you need to hold on to. See if you can just come up with a little bit of precision, a little bit of control until you're back up on 2 feet. Opposite crossed. Take your time to come down. Once you're there, I've still got a pretty good fold in my standing knee. I'm just holding this sort of forward folded pigeon pose for another 3 or 4 breaths. And good. And then let your fingers until you're back up standing in your 2 feet. Pause and take a breath. Okay, then we'll do tree pose. So just take a breath or 2 here, pause. Five breaths in tree pose, right? So not a super long hold, but bring your lifted foot where you like to plant your lifted foot. Find your balance, extend your arms. Five breaths, and then you're standing in 2 feet again. Take a breath there. Second time. Five breaths. Take a breath. Good. Okay, so this last one is going to necessitate that you be able to hold on to your foot. I'm going to use a wall just to get in, so I can take my time and make sure that I have a secure hold of my ankle or my foot, right? And so you don't have to be able to do this. You can just lift the knee, slide your hand down, find your ankle or your foot, and then drop your knee so you're extended in your spine again, and now you've got your heel close to the back of your hip. And then you can hold on to the wall if you like, bend that standing knee, and then let this lifted foot pull your arm back. That lifted foot pull creates some tension there. Pull the arm back by pushing into your hand. If you want to let go, let go. If you want to stand more upright, you can stand more upright, make it more quad stretchy. After all that downward dog using your legs, make it a little more arch in the back, if that doesn't bother your back. 5 breaths. Let go and then take a breath. King Dancer's pose, King Dancer pose. Second side. Right. Slide down, you can lean forward, fold a little bit, so you bring knee to chest, reach down, and then pull back. Good. 3 standing balances, 3 ways. We got a little bit of fold, we got a hip opener both ways, a little bit of back bend, some quad stretch, and then just some nice kind of vertical tree upright. Okay, so let's make our way a little bit more back down toward the floor. Let's crawl back to a downward facing dog. So if you're at the back, drop your hands, walk forward. Shift forward into high push-up position. So if you need to go back with your feet a bit, go back with your feet. If you want to drop to your knees, drop to your knees. If you want to drop to your elbows, drop to your elbows. Drop your knees if they're not already dropped. Okay, knees under hips, knees under hips. Bring one forearm to the floor and take yourself just through a very mild spinal rotation in the shoulders. Where is it comfortable to look? One hand on the floor, one forearm on the floor. Then come back up onto both hands. Drop your other forearm. Rotate your shoulders. Each side once more. And then from all fours, if you can, just stay on your knees, keeping your hips over your knees. Slide your palms forward. So again, arms long like downward facing dog. Hairline or forehead to the floor. You go out a little wider with your hands. Settle the head. Settle your head for the tilt of your pelvis. My elbows are still lifted. Just take another breath like that, fully extended. And then bring the elbows down. Rest in the elbows and the forearms and the head. Take 2 more breaths here. See if you can, again, sense into feel. Add more too, if you want to, the squeeze between your shoulder blades. Good. And then you might just want to walk back on your elbows and your forearms until you can drop your hips to your heels. Take a breath in child's pose. Good. And then let's come up from there. Let's go wide with the feet. So like we did on our backs in the beginning, right? We'll be wide with your feet, leaning back into your hands. Drop knees to the right. Drop knees to the left. Good. And then you're going to come up, bring your feet in a little closer as you would for a bridge pose. And come into reverse tabletop. Okay, so means you can plant your hands with your fingers facing toward your feet or outward or even a little bit more back. You see where your shoulders find a comfortable extension. If you can get all of your palm in the floor this way with your elbows extended and your chest lifted, fingers pointed toward your feet. And then on an exhale, you unfold your hips and lift them up. You can stay, got a little stamina, you can stay, or when you breathe in, drop your hips. You need to adjust the position of your hands, adjust the position of your hands. If you'd rather make fists and be up on your fists, and push from there, if that a little less irksome on the wrists. Come up and down 5 times or hold it for 5 breaths, so you might be there for a couple more breaths if you're holding. Can you bring your chest more up and squeeze one more time between your shoulder blades? And then come down. Yeah, and then either fold your legs or extend your legs, and then just let yourself round forward. So wherever your upper body weight comfortably falls, over crossed legs or extended legs, let your chin come in toward your chest. Look towards your navel. And then come all the way back down onto your back. Let's take a recline twist from your back with your arms wide. Bring your knees up into your chest. And then let your knees fall all the way over to one side. You want to bind up or cross that top knee over the bottom knee, or you could do the reverse cross like we do sometimes more recently. The bottom leg is pulling the top leg a little more toward the ground. Let's take a few breaths here. Take 3 more breaths. Switch, take your time. Just bring your knees up slowly from that first side. Cross them into your chest or over the midline and off to the other side. Yeah. 4, 5, 6 breaths on that side, and then let that go when you're ready to let that go. And then once again, just end like we began. Comfortably resting on your back. And keep your feet standing. You can rather more just fully extend your legs, support your head. Take a 4 or 5 minute shavasana. I'm going to come up the last minute. I'm going to come up and sit. And I'll cue that if you want to come up and sit for the last minute of your practice. Let go of all your work. Let go of all effort. You can take a few minutes and just rest comfortably in the sensation of breathing. Whatever sounds there are to hear. Without reacting. Just being here for. You would like to come on your back and spend just a minute, the last minute of your practice, in a seated position. You can come up. There. Any comfortable seat. Free to stay resting on your back. Like so. We will end our practice here. If you have time, I would like to stay. few more minutes in Shavasana, by all means, rest for another minute or two. Come up and sit if you wanted to come up and sit after we end the mini Zoom session, but we'll go ahead and close here. Honoring your time. Always honor the time you make for body, for breath. And until we return to practice, thank you once again for your time. Namaste to you. Have a rest of your evening. Merci, merci, merci.